What's going on, Orange Nation? This is Neil Adler with another episode of Syracuse Central on the Fan Arch Network. It is Wednesday, Hump Day. Happy Hump Day to all those who celebrate August 26th. Hope everyone's doing well. It's a lovely day here in the DMV. This is Syracuse Central. We talk about Syracuse sports, anything else in life you want to rap about, the weather, food, music, anything. Please subscribe if you haven't already on YouTube or on Apple and Spotify as well. Huge shout out to Cuse for sponsoring this little program. Much love from Syracuse Central and the Fan Arch Network to Cuse. Okay, lots of Syracuse basketball recruiting nuggets to go over today. First of all, Ahmed Nur, who is one of several priority recruits for Syracuse in 2027, and I'm going to get to more on that in a bit. But he is a priority. He's a five-star wing slash forward from Minnesota. He was scheduled to officially visit Syracuse men's basketball starting on Friday the 28th. That visit is moved up to today, the 26th. I assume he's going to be there for, at least one night, maybe two. I honestly don't know when the visit ends, although I think official visits, it can't be more than 2 nights and 3 days anyway. But just something to keep in mind. He is a top 25 national prospect. Like I said, he's from Minnesota, but he is playing his senior year at CI Bella Vista in Phoenix, which is part of the EYBL Scholastic. They won the national championship this past season. They've reloaded. In addition to Nur, there are 3 guys in 2028 on the CI Bella Vista roster who are hold offers from Syracuse. In terms of Nur, he was offered by Syracuse earlier this summer. His recruitment blew up when he won the MBPA Top 100 Camp MVP during the annual event in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Jerry McNamara and many other college coaches were there. He's got, I think, around 30 offers. He this past weekend took an official visit to Ole Miss. He's officially visited Purdue. He's unofficially visited Minnesota. I thought there was talk of a visit to Washington maybe, but it sounds like maybe that isn't happening. But my guy, Sam Kaiser, who's a national analyst, you should definitely follow him. Gets a lot of scoops and very plugged in. He reported, among others, that Nur is going to officially visit Texas on September 4th. So he might have other visits coming up, but that's what I know so far. The staff loves him. He is definitely a ultra athletic, wing forward, can shoot it from 3. Certainly he's got to add some strength and weight and some other things, but he can play. And like I said, he's inside the top 25, top 30 in multiple different places in terms of recruiting services. This spring and summer, he played for the 17 under team of Power 5, which is a Milwaukee-based Adidas 3 SSB program. He wasn't amazing, but I don't think he played in every session. I'm not 100% sure of that, but anyway, he averaged about 13 points and 5 boards per game. Also averaged two made 3-pointers per game. So I was talking to a national analyst who is way more plugged in on a national scale than me yesterday, and this analyst told me to keep an eye on the Syracuse visit. I'm not in any way suggesting that Nur is on commitment watch, but by all accounts, he loves Syracuse and they love him, and again, he's one of their priorities, and we'll see how this visit goes. And then again, he's got Texas coming up. I assume he'll trim his list at some point, and I'd be stunned if Syracuse isn't on it. And then maybe we'll get a sense of what his timeline is for a commitment announcement. So do I think Syracuse is going to prevail for Ahmed Nur? I think it's a little early to say one way or the other, but he absolutely, Syracuse is absolutely in the mix for him. So, and just a reminder, Syracuse has one verbal commit in 2027 3-star wing, Jack Donahue from Albany, New York. He is playing at the Newman School in Boston. And so, we'll see how it goes with Nur, but I definitely, I'll have, when I get more intel about the visit itself, I'll pass that along for sure. Excuse me. Okay. Moving on. So I'm at a point in my life where I'm going to be 49 soon. I try and eat healthy. I don't drink a lot of sodas, a ton of alcohol, etc. But my metabolism slowed down, and so I definitely have in recent years packed on a few pounds. Maybe or maybe not. My primary care physician at my last physical, she didn't yell at me, but she definitely was like, Neil, I know life gets in the way, but you gotta lose a few pounds because that can affect numbers like cholesterol. I have high cholesterol in my family and stuff like that, and certainly stress can play a role. But in any event, I definitely could use a few pounds, lose a few pounds. Um, but in terms of like scientifically, so to speak, with guys my age, testosterone factors into it, and a lot of men, their testosterone levels start dropping as early as their 30s. And again, I'm almost 50, and so when that happens, you gain fat quicker, easier, and especially around your stomach, etc. Everyone loves to talk about the dad bod. I don't know if I have a dad bod, but I'm a little overweight, but not like obese. Anyway, um, but there's a natural supplement out there called Mars Men. It's designed to support healthy testosterone levels, which can help your body burn fat more efficiently, build leaner muscle. Certainly, when you're losing weight and burning calories, and you're gaining energy. You're gaining energy. You feel better mentally and physically. And so Mars Men is has natural ingredients. It's third party tested, made in the U.S. It's available at GNC stores nationwide. There's a 90-day money-back guarantee, so no risk. Worst case, you don't absolutely love it, you get your money back, but more than 90% of users report higher energy levels. Lots of guys are feeling incredible results. Check out the reviews on the Marsmen website to see for yourself. For a limited time, our listeners at Syracuse Central and Fan Arch Network get 50% off for life, plus free shipping and 3 free gifts at mengotomars.com. mengotomars.com for 50% off and 3 free gifts when you check out. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please, please, please support our show and let them know that Syracuse Central on the Fan Arch Network sent you there. Okay. So, Ahmed Noor is starting his official visit to Syracuse today. That news came out yesterday. I confirmed that with multiple sources. Another thing I confirmed with multiple sources, but there was also plenty of other reports. I don't want to be, I'm not being greedy here. Syracuse missed out on Jalon Lyons. And so Jalon Lyons is a 4-star point guard from the DMV, plays at the Clinton Grace Christian School in Prince George's County. Plays for or at least this past season, played for Team Takeover on the EYBL circuit, Nike's AAU circuit. Top 50 national prospect. Syracuse was in his top 7, and the top 7 was, if I can find it, Syracuse, Butler, Georgetown, Maryland, Tennessee, VCU, and Virginia. Jalon Lyons, 6'3", 175. By the way, I forgot to mention, Ahmed Noor is, I believe, like 6'9", 190, something like that. Anyway, Lyons is headed to Butler in the Big East. Am I surprised by that? Well, Butler was in his top 7, and they hadn't been as recruiting him, and they have a new head coach, but they hadn't been recruiting him as long as others. I believe he was offered by Butler in May. Syracuse, the former staff under Autry, offered Lyons last June, and then Jerry McNamara picked up where they left off, recruiting Lyons hard in recent months, ever since they took over the program. Am I surprised? Well, let me put it to you this way. Syracuse certainly recruited him hard. They put in the work. Lonnie loves his name, Lonnie Lyons. Lonnie loves Syracuse. How do I put this delicately? I don't like to spread rumors, but I do have it on authority from multiple people that maybe one factor that we should keep in mind here is the financial components. I am not in any way suggesting that Syracuse didn't offer something, suitable. I am just suggesting that maybe the package offered by Butler was a factor in why he chose Butler over other schools. Not the only reason, and this isn't a surprise, this comes into play with a lot of recruits, whether it's high school recruits or transfers. but I'm told Butler offered something nice. Nice is a conservative way to put it. So look, congrats to Lonnie. I texted him. He confirmed that he will not officially visit Syracuse any longer. That official visit, I believe, was scheduled for September 11 to September 13. Am I surprised that Syracuse missed out? I'm not surprised. Nothing surprises me anymore because again, you have to factor in obviously relationships and which schools are putting in the most work and roster construction, current roster for next year, the transfer portal at the college level, and the financial aspects. So, I'm sure Syracuse. This is my assumption, but I think it's a pretty fair assumption given the way recruiting works and frankly, given my sources. My assumption is that Syracuse certainly probably put in something competitive along with the other schools. And obviously, there's a number they maybe had as a threshold, and then that's it. And I don't know the Butler number, but just that was definitely a factor here. All right. I'm not suggesting in any way that Lonnie Lyons is only going to Butler for money. Not a chance. He has a strong relationship with the Butler staff, including the new head coach. I don't know the Butler roster, but I'm sure he has an opportunity to play right away. Keep in mind, Syracuse is also, and I'll get into this in the next segment, they're recruiting another point guard in 2027. I'm pretty sure Garway DeWall could come back another season because of 5 for 5. They've got Ryan Mesh and other guards. So, look, there's all kinds of factors at play here. Am I bummed? Sure. Yeah, I've been covering Lonnie since last summer, since when Syracuse first started recruiting him. He's a good kid, and he's a fast riser, and he's going to have a great senior year. I actually caught up with his head coach at Clinton Grace recently, and he just was talking about what a good kid he is, a leader he is, and all that. Unfortunately, it's a moot point for Syracuse now, but listen, you wish the kid well. Excuse me. And, stuff happens. It's recruiting. All right. So what's next for Syracuse? They have 4 priority recruits right now. I have this on authority from a source. I'm not going to say who that person is, but my intel's good. I promise you that. If I didn't know about something or I was citing someone else, I would tell that as well. But when it comes to this stuff, I know what I'm talking about. One of the few things. So there are 4 priority targets left are 5-star in 2027 are 5-star point guard Nasir Anderson, 4-star wing forward Ian Condon, 5-star Ahmed Noor, the wing forward that we talked about. And I'm totally blanking. Oh, gosh, how could I forget about it? We just talked about him yesterday. 5-star wing / forward Muso Kamasoko. Okay. Here's the latest. Nasir Anderson, 6'3", 215. He's built like a Matt truck. He's had a terrific prep in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He recently dropped the top 10 that included Syracuse. I'll get more into him probably in another segment, maybe tomorrow. Syracuse is working to get him on an official visit. Nothing at this point. Noor, we talked about. Kamasoko currently attends Long Island Lutheran High School in Brookville, New York. There's definitely been some chatter recently that maybe he might be on the move. We'll see about that. He's 6'8", 180. He will officially visit Syracuse from September 3 to September 4. Condon, 6'7", 245. Another guy built like a Mack truck. Different position from Nasir, but senior at Sidwell Friends School in D.C. He will officially visit Syracuse September 1 to September 2. I first reported that last month. So these are the 4 guys. 3 of them are all officially visiting like in the next 2 weeks. Nur, Kamasoko, and Condon haven't dropped list cuts, but I assume Syracuse will be on them when they do. Those are the 4 guys. Now, I know some people have brought up Devin Cleveland, who I've talked about on this show. He's a 4-star guard from Chicago. He plays at the La Lumiere School in Indiana. And then Carson Crawford is from Florida. He's a 4-star wing. They each included Syracuse in their recent list cuts. Cleveland has a top 7. Carson Crawford has a top 5. Cleveland has said he's going to officially visit all his finalists. He's set, I think, 4 visits. Syracuse hasn't been one of them. he is not a priority recruit. That doesn't in any way mean that Syracuse wouldn't take him or isn't recruiting him, but if you're asking me the 4 priority recruits, those are the other ones I mentioned are the priorities. That doesn't mean that Syracuse isn't interested in him. Carson Crawford, I can't tell how heavy Syracuse is recruiting him these days. But when he dropped his top 5, he did tell me that he wanted to officially visit Syracuse. So again, we'll see. But the 4 guys I mentioned are the priorities. There's no disputing it. And they've certainly offered other dudes like Zion Green and King Gibson and shown interest in other guys that I've probably mentioned on this show or certainly on Inside the Loud House I've written about. But those 4 guys are who we're focused on, or who Syracuse is focused on, and who I'm focused on, frankly, as a reporter. So we'll see. What are Syracuse's chances with those 4? Well, Nasir's got a big top 10, obviously. He's a 5-star top 10 national prospect. So that's going to be a tough one. I mean, they're all going to be tough. But they all like Syracuse. Syracuse has been recruiting Camasoko since late December 2024 is when they first offered him under Autry's staff. Condon, he's got a good relationship with the staff, obviously taking an official visit. He's in the DMV. That's certainly a big time recruiting focus for Syracuse. And then Nur, who starts his visit today. So they're not going to get all 4. I'm optimistic they'll get at least 1. I'm hopeful they'll get 2. If they got 2 of those 4 guys, and then you have Jack Donahue, so that's 3. And then we don't know how many guys are going to leave or transfer or whatever after the season, and then they're going to want to go after guys in the portal. They might not have a big 2027 prep class. And I saw some people on one of the fan forums I'm in all the time, and someone was talking about, if we got Donahue and then maybe 2 of those other priorities, that would be a great class. And one other person's like, that's not that great of a class, only 3 guys, one's a 3-star. First of all, you have to keep in mind that the transfer portal, international prospects, etc., are a priority. So they're not going to have huge high school classes. It's just not the way it's done for the most part. And you also have to keep in mind the current roster and 5 for 5. So I think Syracuse getting 3 guys in 2027 at the high school level is realistic. I think, hopefully it's not just Jack, nothing against Jack, but thinking that they're the 2022 class where they had 6 guys or whatever, the best class ever, Jim Boeheim said, that's not going to happen. Not with recruiting the way it is these days, and with their current roster where it is, and with 5 for 5. We'll leave it at that. But look, I don't like to play the guessing game, but again, all those 4 guys, 3 of whom are officially visiting, and then Anderson, they all like Syracuse a lot, so they have a shot. And part of it with Syracuse is they got to show that with this new staff they can win games. Everyone loves GMAC's culture and what he did at Siena, and he's gritty and he's tough and plays, he's all about defense, and guys are going to want to play for him, just like I think recruits want to play for Fran Brown. But ultimately, a couple of things come into play: playing time, money, and is the team winning on the court? Is it a winning program? Because right now Syracuse in recent years is not. And if GMAC can show at the early stages of this season that he's looks like he's turning things around, that'll help them. And we'll also have to see with some of these priorities, are they planning to sign during the early period, which is in November? Because if they're not, I think that helps Syracuse in terms of they can show that they're having a good season and GMAC knows what he's doing. Not that he doesn't know what he's doing, but he can handle the ACC and all that. So if guys are waiting to the regular signing period is in April of next year, obviously you can verbally commit before then. But the early signing period is November, and that's a week or 2 after the season starts. So we'll see. It's an interesting time for sure. And obviously I'll keep you posted on everything as things happen. All right. College football is back, and so are the predictions: who makes the playoffs, who wins their conference, who takes home the national title. Hopefully it's Syracuse. On Kalshi, America's #1 prediction market platform, it lets you trade those predictions in a live market. So we're looking at college football. Let's do it. Will North Carolina beat TCU on Saturday, August 29th in Dublin, which is awesome. TCU destroyed UNC last year, by the way. This is obviously a non-conference game, like I said, in Dublin. And let me just pull up my notes here. Be an interesting game to watch. Of course, now I can't find them. But as of right now, North Carolina is trading at a 25% probability. If you wager a $100 bet, you would win $365.67. There you go. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house, and as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position, trade the draft pick, the game, and more on Kalshi. Download the Kalshi app and use code FANARCHCOLLEGE to get $20 when you trade $20. KALSHI. Kalshi. Trade on anything. All right. So now we'll get to some of your comments, and a lot of what we're looking at is we were talking about Jerry McNamara's system, and we were talking about all this eligibility stuff. Speaking of the eligibility stuff, I saw yesterday that the SEC, and it looks like other leagues like the ACC, the Big Ten, etc., are also going to maybe have similar policies. But here's the policy that announced by the SEC, since we're talking about eligibility stuff. It says, following meetings with the presidents, chancellors, and athletic directors of the SEC will enforce the following policy. An SEC institution is not permitted to have an athlete on its roster who has previously declared for the NFL, NBA, or WNBA draft and did not appropriately withdraw, sign a contract with an NFL or other professional football league, NBA, G League, or WNBA or affiliate team, or been listed on an NFL or other professional football league, NBA, G League, or WNBA or affiliate roster. The commissioner is authorized to enforce this expectation with penalties against member institutions. Crazy. That's gotta be sparking lawsuits, right? I mean, how does it not? I mean, it's insane. But anyway, let's get to your thoughts. Where are they? Here they are. My man Peace Love writes, interesting is an interesting way to frame the NCAA's ineptitude and lack of leadership. It's no surprise that college sports is in the place it is right now. If they hadn't been so greedy and employed a little foresight, much of this confusion could have been avoided and athletes wouldn't be treated like disposable commodities are present. Disposable commodities is a very accurate description. I think GMAC is better at making the things he talks about manifest on the court. Autry had a vision, he just can bring it to life. That's fair. I anticipate we'll have much better ball movement, hopefully smarter shot selection, along with better defensive effort. It's not a secret recipe, but I believe GMAC will be better at holding player accountables to the standards he sets. Totally agree with that. Therein lies the difference between a mediocre coach and an effective one. And then he said, thanks for... he said, you'll be in touch. Life gets busy. Congrats on the sponsorships. Dude, it's all good, brother. And we will catch up this week because we have something to work on together. I love you, brother. Brant writes, my man Brant writes, when I hear on ESPN that huge donors are having meetings at the governor's mansion regarding LSU, I still can't help feeling like someone is making or protecting a hell of a lot of money with little regard for players and fans and probably smaller schools. Members of Congress and countless lawyers are also involved. Now, I would love to know how many other donor-governor powwows are going on that we don't know about. This whole thing stinks and could have been easily avoided. Instead, it feels deliberate. That's well said. SYR Vid writes, the team has an identity already without Jerry coaching a game yet. All these young cats about to find their best selves. Heck yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. And that was the thing about Autry. Like, again, I think he's a nice guy. I think he's a good recruiter. Maybe he's a good coach, but he wasn't the right fit for Syracuse or that kind of level job or, right away. Maybe he should have gone to a mid-major like Jerry did. But yeah, I mean, he articulated what his standard was, so to speak. It just obviously didn't come to life. But I do feel like Jerry's maybe a little bit more demonstrative, deliberate, concise, clear. I don't know. I mean, again, he hasn't coached a game yet, so I don't get too ahead of myself. But I do agree that these players it's gonna be a fun season. My man Tim 48 writes, I think GMAC's system was on display during the game last year. It is the main reason I am so excited about the upcoming year. I mean, exactly. I'm trying to remember if I watched the game live. I feel like I was in Nashville at the time. Maybe I watched part of it, or I watched it on. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I was very impressed, especially because they only had like 5 guys playing pretty much the entire game. And then Brand asked about RJ Lewis being a 4th-year senior. He actually, I believe, left college as a junior, but according to what the SEC noted last night, I believe that means that Lewis would be ineligible. And then Brand also writes, it was the NCAA that moved the goalpost with the 5-for-5 rule well after the season. Agree about that. Since this is just a 1-year deal only concerning 2022s, they should just let them all play in the college pro league for one last year. It is a college pro league. What's the difference? Problem solved. I agree. 100% agree. And then my man Mike Gross writes, even without Monroe, we are a very deep team, which I totally agree with. Jerry's a grinder. That's a great word. No matter how we start, he will stick to his plan, and at least we'll start to see improving results by the end of the season. He's not the kind of guy to ever let a team get lost and disillusioned. Agree with that. I'm confident Jerry will adjust as needed. I'm Mike Brown of the Knicks. Knicks. I think we may struggle a bit with the 3-ball, but otherwise I think we're solid defensively and have some good penetrating guards. Agreed, all around. I think they're going to be sound on defense, a solid rebounding team. They're going to limit their turnovers. They're going to make their free throws. They're not going to make stupid mistakes. They're going to make opponents beat themselves versus Syracuse beating itself, if that makes sense. But yeah, and I think they'll be selfless on offense in terms of sharing the ball. Hopefully their assist rate will be better than it has been in recent years. And part of that is predicated on making shots. And I think they'll have guys penetrating, the lane in terms of guards, and, obviously their front court guys crashing the boards. But yeah, 3-point shooting, not quite sure about. I don't think they'll be awful. I don't know if it'll be a huge strength, but we'll see. It's going to be a fun season. I can't wait. We must go to LMB and Mamas too when you hit New York City, Neil. Diets, take a break. Dude, I'm coming, man. I'm 100% coming. I don't know if I'm... I have to look at my schedule with my son, and I'm not quite sure, but for one of these games, I'm gonna be there, Mike, and we're gonna eat our way through the city. All right, my friends, great comments. Really appreciate you all. This is Neil Adler with Syracuse Central on the Fan Arch Network. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Always drop me comments, good or bad. I love feedback. We're on Apple and Spotify. Huge shout out to Cuse for sponsoring Syracuse Central and what Cuse is doing with the Fan Arch Network. We appreciate you all so much. Have a great Wednesday, friends. Today's Wednesday. Have a great Wednesday, friends. I'll talk to you on Thursday. I'm a moron. Love you all. Take care.